This is my friend Christina. Christina, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi guys, how are y'all?
Okay. Well, recently, my understanding is that you started another new adventure in your life. What's that
hmm
about?
Definitely. At the beginning of the year, I'll let you know a little bit about myself. I've been a personal trainer for and in the fitness industry for about the last 15 years. I'm about to embark on a new solo journey. I'm going into business for myself, and where I'll be doing more online and in-person training. One-on-one is my niche, my specialty, and I usually work with a wide variety of clientele, anywhere from your weekend warrior to um, I've coached uh, I've coached competitors before as well. We can get into that, and then even into senior citizens as well. So it's definitely a broad rainbow, a broad spectrum of individuals that I cater to.
You sound really passionate about what you do. Can you tell us how you got started in that?
Oh, I love it. I actually I was the client for the longest time. Starting off in the beginning, my journey started in 2002, and I was a weight loss story. I was about 19, or no, what was it at the time? 20, sorry. I just got out of college, and I was 22, and I went from waiting tables and being active on my feet to an office job where I put on about 24 pounds in a short amount of time. I was about 32% body fat, which for a woman, when you start getting past 26% and even 30%, you actually are considered obese. Um, and if uh, I didn't like where I was at. I had um, I had a small wake up call, so to speak, or it was more or less, I was sitting at a restaurant, and I was eating, and it was strangers made a comment, a moo comment of all things, and that was just that was like a real eye opener. I wasn't used to that, and
Okay.
I definitely, my self-esteem was pretty low, and I wasn't active. My energy was low as well, and I had I tried every diet you could think of, and so I said, what, my way isn't working. So instead of just getting on a treadmill, and I actually went to a seminar at a local gym, and they were talking about cardio and why it's not working. And so, anyways, whatever. We won't go down that rabbit hole.
Okay.
Needless to say, I ended up hiring a personal trainer, and who actually taught me, who became my best friend actually too, and she taught me everything I need to know about diet, exercise. I hired her. Not only did we become best friends, and we're still best friends to this day, but
Okay.
she eventually, later on, fast forward, um, she she motivated and inspired me to do my first fitness competition, and to get in dabble in a little bit of fitness modeling, and then of course become a personal trainer later. So
Okay.
yeah, it definitely changed. I saw what it did for me mentally, not mentally, physically, spiritually, like all of it. It just so for me, it lit something inside that I wanted to share and be able to share with other people as well. And
Okay.
going from that same place, or being in that place, being able, as the client, being able to understand what their struggles are and what they're going through, and be able to relate to some degree, of going through their journey and what it feels like, and being able to relate to them. I thought, or, I felt, or I feel, excuse me, gives me a little bit more of a more more empathy, I guess, compassion.
Okay. No, definitely, because you're not just doing a job, you're doing something that you know works and you're sharing that. And
Hmm.
so the thought that I had while you were speaking, your story, that's an awesome story. But have you ever trained someone and their story stands out to you, meaning you saw the beginning and the process, and that's something that you like when you sit down? I know you do a great job. I know that you care from the discussions that we've had, but is there someone or an experience that just stands out that made you like, man, I appreciate being able to do this for somebody?
Yes, actually I do. I have, and he's still a client of mine. He's been a client of mine. In fact, we did his testimony yesterday, actually. He
Okay.
had, we've been training now for about 3.5, almost 4 years. He's, he'll be, I think he'll be turning 73 in a couple of months. And so, and he was in a um, pretty bad, I want to say he's going to kill me on this. He was in a pretty bad motorcycle accident.
Okay.
Um, and, and what happened is you'll see on one side of it's the left side of his body, you can tell is like they had to put, you know, his leg and attach tendons and reattach. Like, I mean, and his shoulder, he has a lot of damage
Okay.
on the left side of his body. But when he came to me, he was about 65 pounds overweight. And he's worked with a couple of other trainers before me as well, and he was able to get down and to lose about 15 to 20 pounds with them, but he always found that he would end up going back up again. Like his weight was just yo-yoing, and he
Mhm.
had some issues
Mhm.
with food. And we were able to sit down and actually talk about like what his struggles were and get him on through a food prep service, get him regulating, not having that all or nothing thinking. And he's actually consuming about 300 to 400 calories more than what he originally was started off with me
Okay.
in the beginning. And he is now, I mean, he's over the last year, he's lost 50 pounds, so marking 65 pounds. He's kept off the weight. His body fat was about 30, he was at 38% body fat, and he is now at 18% body fat.
Bravo.
And he's not starving himself. He walks regularly, but he is the definition of consistency and discipline. And and at any age, like you can lose weight. You can make better eating choices, and it's not just about being on a diet, because he's eating brisket every single day. So I mean, it's how much of, and like, in staying active and just showing up every day, just showing up, working out, like just 30 minutes a day of something. And he does that, and he tracks his meals through this meal service through Prestige Labs. I highly recommend them. They're cost efficient as well. But yeah, and he's kept the weight off, and I'm super proud of
Okay.
him. He moves a lot better too. His movement and his legs have gotten stronger, even on the left side. And so that mind to muscle connection, he didn't think he was going to get it back, because a lot of the scar tissue up in his shoulder and his leg, he can't feel a lot. So for him to be able to activate certain muscles, that is like super cool, because we've been working at that for at least the last couple of years. And so, it's definitely Rome wasn't built in a day. It takes time. It takes time, but if you keep showing up, it eventually it works. It works.
Okay. So when you say that, one, I'm
Hmm.
happy for him, but a word that you use, consistency.
Mhm.
I remember the last time we had a discussion and we spoke about a word commitment. And I don't
Mhm.
think that you can have consistency without commitment. And so when you
Yeah,
hear the word commitment, what stands out to you?
discipline.
Okay.
Like, because it takes discipline to when you commit to something, it takes discipline to follow through. If you're gonna start something, you've got to be able to finish it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like a lot of people are strong in certain areas where they can start something and finish. And then there's other areas, like they struggle with it. It's like tooth and nail. Like some people, it's kind of like if you people will start in January and they're like, you know what, I am committed. I am signing up for a gym membership. They go for maybe a month and they've already paid for the whole entire year up front or whatever. They show up for 1 month and then you don't see them again. And the club just takes your money. And it's like, and for whatever reason, it could be they didn't have the right tools, but most of it usually stems from, you may have to save me on this one.
Okay. No, I believe that the first thing you need with commitment is a goal.
Oh gosh, yes,
If there's,
definitely.
if there's,
Like,
if there's no end point, if there's
right.
no goal,
You're
then
just
right,
kind of treading water, so to speak. You're
right.
not, it's like you're kind of, okay. Well, that's a very valid point. That actually, okay, that'll get me back on track. So when you set up SMART goals, specific, measurable, attainable,
Mhm.
realistic, timely goals, and this is what I practice and I teach with or to my clients and we go over, because if we don't have a goal, whether it's weight loss or you want to uh, weight loss, you want to feel better, you want more energy, I mean, yes, those are all pretty vague, but that's when we have to get specific,
Okay.
or I want to put on muscle. Okay, well, how many pounds of muscle do you want to put on, or how much weight do you want to lose, and what does that time frame look like? And we break it down into segments so that and dissect it so that way you can kind of take bites off of it. Because if you take little bites, if you try to take a big old bite, then it's like, okay, that's going to be hard going down. But little bites are more digestible, so to speak.
Okay.
And so you set up small goals. It could be like something specific. Okay, you know what? For the next 2 weeks, we're going to ramp up your activity, and we're going to have you walking 5,000 steps for the next 2 weeks daily. How are we going to measure that? Okay, we're going to have a tracking device. Well, that sounds horrible, but we're going to have a Fitbit or a Garmin or your Apple Watch or whatever, and we're going to track
Okay.
your progress. And that's going to be your goal. I just want you to move. Okay, easy enough. The next thing is I'm going to, let's take a look at what you're eating. So, okay, well, before I go in there, I'm not going to just start taking things away from you. I want to see the pattern. I want to see what you're consuming on a day-to-day basis. So I can kind of play Nancy Drew and figure out, all right, like, oh, okay. So I can see what your patterns are. And so you can become more aware of what you're doing too. So it's kind of like
Okay.
awareness as well. Um, but in doing that, I just ask you, okay, can we commit to those two things? Commitment. Can we commit? We're gonna set up a goal. Can you commit to that? Okay, that seems easy. You're not piling too much on my plate. Okay, cool. So all right, we'll check back in 2 weeks and we'll figure it out from there. In the meantime, you're more aware of like what you're consuming, what you're putting in your mouth, you're getting in your activity, you're probably starting to feel better at this point. But then we still have to keep on keep on making other goals so that way you stay invested and you
Okay.
stay interested and you stay committed. So it's work on both parties. If we're going to work together, then you've got to hold up I'm going to show you a blueprint, but you've got to execute it. You got to do the work. If you do the work and we work together, boom, you're successful. You'll be successful at it.
I find that very refreshing because when you were explaining, I'm sitting back and I'm like, okay, she's in trainer mode now. Like you're conveying, I can tell you've had that conversation with some people, and I believe in incremental steps. So
Hmm.
as you said, one step after another, as long as we're headed in a particular direction, It does not matter how small the steps are. If we keep stepping, we'll get there. And that's what I hear in what you said.
Right. Trust
So,
the process. That's the biggest thing. And, I was skeptical when I first started everything. I was just like, I don't know how this is going to work, like getting me. But if you find the right person, um, because we're always more successful when we have someone helping us. Like when we're together, like when it's a team atmosphere, you're going to be 10, 20, 30, 40 times more successful than when you try to do it on your own.
okay.
So it's like, and so I, like, have an accountability partner if personal trainers, and I keep going back to personal training just because that's an easy go-to. It's an easy reference.
Okay.
And, like have an accountability partner, if a trainer's like, I don't really, I'd much rather just have someone, like a family member, or if it's a little expensive, or with COVID, keeping your distance from people, or, whatever means, just get out there and be active. Grab a friend, if you have an animal, a dog, your dog, take your dog for a walk.
Okay.
But start small, just walk. Like it's anyone can walk, but just set a goal for yourself, like where if it could be something. I'm gonna instead of parking in the front of at a parking lot to go into the store, park further away so you can get in some extra steps. Or if you're gonna have an extra 30 minutes at lunch, and it's nice outside, or if you're just like, well, screw it, I've got to get my steps in, you can walk the hallway, walk outside, take an extra 30 minutes at lunch. That's what I used to do to get into some extra steps, so I wasn't just sitting all day, because a lot of us just sit throughout the day. We're on the computer, we're at home, working, and you just kind of get wrapped up in doing your business, not your business, but you
Make
just
it a
get
part,
wrapped up on the computer.
make it a part of
Right.
your routine.
hmm And
Okay.
so it's just like small things. It doesn't have to be big, wake up an extra hour before, especially if you have a busy day. So that way you don't have an excuse where you're like, I'm too tired at the end of the day, or the kids, like I gotta go pick up the kids and I gotta cook dinner for the kids. Like, okay, well, how about, if you get up early, get up an hour ahead of time and spend 20 to 30 minutes and just spend it. Don't look at your phone, don't check emails, because that's how we get in that little rabbit hole. Like we just kind of, or we just get stuck in Instagram or stuck on Facebook, and just
Okay.
don't even look at your phone. Just get up and just have your stuff laid out, the night before, just like if you had a new job, or, like you're getting everything ready and prepared. Well, do the same for yourself.
So I used the word concerning you earlier, competitor. So are you pretty competitive?
I, I is that a trick question? I
No, no,
mean,
no, no. It's just a yes or a no. It's just I'm competitive. I'm not competitive.
I yes, I am competitive.
Okay. So let's play a quick game.
Okay.
We're gonna take that word commitment. You've got that
Okay.
word in your mind. And I'm just gonna say something. And in 1 minute or less, you give me some advice how to be committed to that. It's just something to stretch your mind. So
Okay.
the key word is commitment. But I'm
Okay.
gonna say something like we've already spoke about training. So if I said something like training, you give me 1 minute or less. This is what it takes to be committed in training, or this is what it means to me. Okay?
Okay.
Let's, let's just try. Let's just try. Friendship.
Keep your word. Like when I'm training for a competition, if I say I'm going to do something, then I'm going to do it, because if you break your word, that's all that you have.
Okay.
And so if you're telling if you're committing, and I guess what I found is that, you can motivate somebody, um, but but they've got to be disciplined enough in themselves and have that and want it bad enough to where they become unstoppable. And I feel like a lot of that involves like maybe even sacrificing, because we usually to go after something, that we perceive in our minds as great, you have to sacrifice. I mean, you could even use this in biblical terms too.
Okay.
You have to have trust in a
Okay.
relationship. You have to have trust. Um, and I guess a competition, you have to in the contest prep, you have to trust the process, even though in the beginning you may doubt yourself, you may not think you can do it. Just like I guess with losing weight too, losing weight or any new adventure that you embark on, trust. You could even actually tie that in with God,
Okay.
trusting in Him that He's going to have your back because He knows your story before you do.
Okay.
I'll use that as my coach. But as in like trusting the process that, he has over 22 plus years of experience in the competition, or in the fitness industry, and he's worked with competitors for over 22 years. And, when they show up to a show, when his clients do, the judges, he's known across the scene that usually his competitors will at least get top 5, usually. Like they like he has the eye. And so trusting, and he's very meticulous in his training methods, and just like if you've got a goal, he's going to put 100%. And it's influenced me that when I have a client, I put my 100% into that client and their success. And if they show me that they're serious about it and they commit to the process, then I'm going to give them my 100% and commitment that I'm going to help you be successful and get you to your goal.
Those are great dynamics.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the dynamics of commitment
Mm-hmm.
you covered, and it
Mm-hmm.
comes out very congenial when you're speaking of your experiences. And so I'm appreciative that you're sharing them with me. The integrity that you have, the focus that you have, the empathy that you have. Is God anywhere in that?
Oh, absolutely. I would say, if we're touching on it, like from just like in general, like in life in general, um, I basically accredit, like, I would say probably more so within the last 10 years. I would say I am more aware, more um grateful, and I can see or feel and trust that he has my back more so as I've gotten older than when I was in my teens, or in my the early part, like in my 20s. But I would say in my 30s, coming into my 40s, that I would not have half, or, or maybe like I wouldn't have any, like all my success, and failure, everything I would say I attribute to my faith and my trust in God. Um, yeah.
Okay. I don't have all of the experiences. I don't have all knowledge. But if I can just get some people to share what they've learned, what they do, then that's going to help somebody. Will it help everybody? No. But if I get enough people, then everybody will get helped.
I
And so
like
you
that.
are just people
I
in
really
that.
like what you're doing.
Huh?
I said I really like what you're doing. There's you're giving back and you're serving, and that's what we're put on this earth to do, is to serve one another, to be in community with each other. And this is not our permanent place. This is our dress rehearsal. And so, like we're trying out for the main role, but up there. this is just our this is like just our trial period.
Okay. Okay. I'm not going to hold you much longer. Is there anything that you like to ask me or share with anyone who's going to watch this?
Okay, what, I guess you've asked me about my faith. Um, when did you discover, when were you saved and how many times have you been saved?
Okay. I gave my life to Christ in the Harris County Jail. When it
Mhm.
turned New Year, instead of partying hard or getting in some more trouble, you can't do that when you're incarcerated. I gave my life to Christ. And the reason that I knew that it was real, when I woke up the next morning and I went to the day room, my heart didn't feel the same way, meaning there are different things that occur day in and day out in jails, in prisons, and the way I was viewing the day, even before it started, I knew I was changed. I began to question, well, I know these events are going to take place. I hope that this individual does not get harmed. I hope that we don't get into disputes and things of that nature. And I knew that that was real because I had reached a place in my life where I had no feeling in my heart. And what I
Mm,
had done is I had filled myself up with what I thought I wanted and who I thought I wanted to be. And when I reached a certain point, it was like I was behind a wall. I'm saying on the inside, I'm behind the wall. And it's like, say the wall has a window. I could see through the window. I'm looking through the window, but it's
mhm.
like everything going around me didn't touch me on the inside. And one day I realized that's a very sad situation to be in. But since I was behind the wall and no one knew I was behind the wall, I just stayed behind the wall until that day. And when Christ came into my life, not at that moment that I prayed and I went to sleep. But when I woke up, I knew I was different. And since that day, I've taken baby steps, meaning the first 2 years after that, on the outside, you couldn't tell the difference. And I was taking baby steps because I was
Mm.
making conscious decisions in my mind that I'm going to stop this. I'm going to start this. But it took a process because I needed to change. And as ironic as it is, my greatest comparison is I used to power lift. And so I would tell the guys when I got ready to do my overloads, I'd wait to the end and I'd do my overloads. And so when it came time for the meet, I said, okay, I can call that weight. And they said, look, you never got that weight. I said, you're not understanding. I only tried that weight every time I was at the end of a workout. I only tried that weight when I was at my worst. I'm at my best right now. So when I get that weight, I'm going to make that weight. And out of all those years of powerlifting, I only scratched one time. And really, that was due to I had lost too much weight too quickly. And I
Mm.
didn't know it was
Okay.
going to affect me like that. And so in my faith, I'll always tell people what takes place on the inside of me. I can see a better me. I can see a better man. I can see a more honest man. And as I just follow God, He works that stuff out to where now the me that people see now, that was a progression. But there's still yet a better me that I see that I want to do the best I can to help whoever I can. But the first thing I have to do is allow God to keep helping me. And the thing about God, it never gets old. It never gets old because there's always room inside of me. Even if no one else knows, there's room inside of me where I not only want to grow, He's prompting me to grow. So that's my relationship with God.
Wow.
I love God. I love God.
I noticed this. This is amazing. I love it. It's great. Wow. Do you feel, that saying that they have, like a leopard can't change its spots?
Okay.
Or
Yeah,
my grandma,
no, I
my
don't.
my my grandma used to say this, like, at the end
Okay.
of the day, a leopard's still a leopard. You can't change its spots. So what would you say to, like, would you say that there were some things about you that could have, like, that maybe other people like or might be thinking the same thing. Well, there's certain things in my past that I've done, hypothetically, that I've done that I'm not so proud of, and a different lifestyle, a different way of living, and you know, I found, I've found God, and now, like, would you consider or would you relate to maybe saying, I believe that someone can change through Christ Jesus.
I know that someone can change, because one reason I did not want to enter into a relationship with God when I first felt an inward pull was because I told God, I said, I don't, I don't want you. I don't want to have money problems. I don't want everybody depending upon me. And I can't see a life live with one woman. The reason that I said that, that's who I had become. But what God did, I just finished serving 27 years, 10 months, and 16 days. I was released in April of 2020. I
Mhm,
have not drank. I
mhm,
have not gone out and found a woman, and I'm not
mhm,
in my room pouting about it. And as a matter of fact, there was a lake, and in April, there was a lot of sunlight, and there's a lot of people running around the lake. And those will be my first occurrences seeing parties, swimsuits, hearing loud music, and I didn't feel like I was missing something. And so I don't just believe that a person can change, I am changed, but I didn't do it myself. And that's why when you were like, wow, no, I know it's not me. I know the me. I know the me that I used to be. In other words, when I was in college, I have to go to clubs. I go to clubs like 6 days a week. And
mhm.
I could never look at the opposite sex as anything other than the opposite sex. I'm not looking at the personality, I'm looking at them. And for that to change, I don't have the mental capacity to do that. I don't have the background to do that. I didn't have the inclination to do that, but he did it. And when he did it, he started out with, hey, these are people. And when I say they, women are people. If all you can see is an object, then you're not looking the way I want you to look. And so I'm not saying what I think. I'm saying, come on, Lake Travis in the sunlight. And I'm not like, man, I gotta get on Lake Travis. I gotta go out there. Man, they look like they're having fun. And a pastor told me, because it looked like Dre's party one day. That was my first. I'm looking at it, looking like I'm talking about they got the swimsuits, the what do you call it? Things everybody. And
Oh,
so I
jet
looked
ski
out the
stuff.
window. And do you know the first thought I'm being honest, the first thought I had, because I remember those parties, and I was like, man, I hope nobody gets hurt. I hope nobody
Mhm.
gets taken advantage of. And I said a quick prayer, and I came back and I studied, and I talked to a pastor that night, and I said, I can't understand something. And he was like, tell me about it. And I said, I've always, and I'm going to say always since second grade, it's like, man, I like to have fun, and fun. I'm not talking about godly fun. I like to just do things. And I said, man, I'm sitting here and I cannot intellectually understand why I wasn't drawn to go out there and just say, hey, my name's Sean. You guys look like you're having fun. What's and he was like,
Mhm.
well, let me explain that to you. He says, when you are focused, you don't have to get refocused. It wasn't that they changed. It was that
Interesting.
I changed and my focus. I didn't have to go to the window and refocus. When I went to the window, what is already going on inside of me was not that.
Hmm.
That's like I don't know your history, but it's like when I used to go to the club, when you hit the parking lot and you hear that music, there's like some jumping on the inside, and you're like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And you hit the door, and it's
Yeah, well,
like,
it's energy too. It's like yeah, it's fun.
wow. So it
But
bears
then
witness with
yeah,
what you
it's
already
just
want to do.
where you're right. It's where your focus is at. That's
Right.
so true.
And so I know that was a little bit long, but I just felt compelled to. I know that people can change, but I want to say this, my personal belief, and this is me, A lot of people want to modify their behavior. God transforms our behavior. And here's the difference. Let's say I drink, smoke, party hard, but I want to change for my family's sake. I want to change for my children's sake. I will modify that behavior. I will not do it so much. I will not do it in front of these people. I will not do it in front of those people. But I'm really still the same person. I just have a modification. I just don't do it in front of the kids. But when God comes in and the Bible says, be not conformed to this world, but transformed, God doesn't modify you. He doesn't say, no, this is just not good in front of those people. It's just not good because it affects your job. God will come in and transform and say, I'm going to take that desire away and I'm going to work this desire in you. And all we have to do is just like working out, follow the coach. You people who come to you for training, how can I come to you for training? I saw something about you that drew me to you, but I'm going to tell you the program that works for me. That's modification. Transformation. I'm here, train me. And I submit, yield, and as you said, your coach does. The competitions, the results speak for themselves.
That's an excellent analogy.
Okay.
That's so true, because I have had clients that come to me and it's like you show them, like, okay, it's going to take this, this, and this, and this to get you to your goal. And they're like, well, what if, like, I just can't seem to give up my wine. Or, I don't know. We go out, we have date nights on Saturdays and, and Sundays. And, I do good all the way up until, Monday through Thursday. But then I blow it happy hour Friday, Saturday, this, and then Sunday I'm with the kids and they come up, and so it's like, can I still look like that though? It's like, well, you can get to your goal. It's going to take some time because you're taking all these other steps and you're not really following this. If you follow this, it's going to get you to, if you follow X, Y, X and Y, it'll get you to Z. But if we go loop around and we do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of that, then of course we're not going to exactly get to our goal in that amount of time. We'll get to our goal, but you're going to have to work a lot harder than it'd be just to like sacrifice a little bit for the long haul.
Okay.
Take that time to get to know the program, to go through it, to do all the meticulous things that you may not want to do, counting your calories just to see what you're eating, not necessarily for the rest of your life, but until you know the system and you understand the process and what's going in your body and making sure you're getting in your steps and what does it take and how is my body responding to certain foods that I eat, then if you take the time for yourself and you kind of just sacrifice a little bit, then in the long run, you'll find out what works for you and you'll be more successful because you'll know what to do, how your body's going to respond to certain things or in certain environments. Experimenting with, 3 or 4, if you're working out 3 to 4 days a week, 5 days a week, that's too much. Okay. We go back to the drawing board. Let's work out a system for you so that you're successful.
Okay. Well, I thank you for sharing. I thank you for your
thank you for having me.
So you're very active on Instagram.
I try to be. I try to post something almost every day.
What is your Instagram name?
My Instagram handle.
Okay.
It's my name. It's Christina, Christena. So like Christina, but it's really Christina. Then Christina _ Fitbod.
Okay. I want to encourage everyone to check out the videos. I saw her 22 push-up a day.
Oh yeah,
very consistent. She passed it to a friend, and I've also seen some of the competitions. And so if you're wondering where you get results when dealing with Christina, take a look at the Instagram. The results are there. The trophies are there. The applause. friends, the
We
coach.
brought some
So
fiber
make sure
home.
you visit.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me on,
Okay.
Sean.